22-year-old woman born here in New Orleans says masked federal agents tried to stop her outside her own home. I'm Cassie Sherm. I'm an investigative reporter here in New Orleans, and take a look at this video. So the 22-year-old woman from New Orleans named Jacqueline says masked federal agents tried to approach her outside her home even though she was born and raised here in the area. She told reporters she was walking back from the grocery store when an SUV with masked agents pulled up near her house. Jacqueline says she immediately told them she was a U.S.-born citizen. But according to her, several more men got out of a second vehicle, and that's when she ran towards her home. Video shows her stepfather stepping in between her family and the agents, confronting them before the agents got back in their cars and left.
Oh, you forget me? No, you're the one making a stand. We weren't even looking for you. So get over here. Why? So who are you looking for? This is a public area. Okay, so I don't want to speak to you. Well, I don't want to talk to you either. You're the one talking to me. Hispanic people against Hispanic, bro.
The Department of Homeland Security has confirmed it launched a broad immigration enforcement operation across New Orleans area, and it's unclear whether Jacqueline was part of that or why she was approached. Now, we still have a lot of questions. We've been reaching out trying to get answers for you guys. But in the meantime, I want to know your thoughts. Let me know, comment below, and make sure you guys are following. We're going to try to keep you guys as well as informed as we can.
We have some breaking news we're following. This is out of Washington, as just in the last hour, termination notices were expected to begin hitting inboxes of thousands of State Department employees as part of the Trump administration's efforts to drastically shrink the federal government. We're going to bring back NBC News White House correspondent Monica Alba on this. Monica, what do we know? What do we not know about these terminations?
Well, Alex, we know that the termination notices were supposed to go out starting around 10 a.m. and that likely they would roll out for a couple of hours due to how slow the internal State Department email system is. So this is a situation where many State Department employees yesterday were put on alert. We're told that today they could be getting that kind of information. So to be prepared for that and to come to work with everything, they might need to return before leaving the State Department for the last time today. And we're talking about civil servants in addition to Foreign Service officers, as many as 3,000 cuts expected today. And it's not just all layoffs necessarily. Some people were offered the opportunity to take early retirement, for instance. But this is all a part of the Trump administration's effort to cut some of these agencies, with the Department of Government Efficiency trying to essentially make a mandate for these different agencies to completely reorganize or to have what's known as a RIF, a reduction in force. And this is something that the Supreme Court paved the way for to take place. And so the State Department is where we're seeing a very concentrated example of that today.
Hey guys, welcome back again to the channel, and thank you so much for clicking to watch this video. So guys, what is actually going on in the US right now? Like, a lot of things are just happening, a lot of things are just surfacing. You guys saw the first clip where that 22 years old girl was actually running for her life. Oh my god, does it mean that people do not even have the rights to walk freely anymore? Does it mean that people cannot even walk without being scared, without being afraid of the eyes? Imagine that lady, like, I think she went to a nearby shop to get something, and coming back, eyes were running after her. They started chasing her, and if peradventure they caught her, or if peradventure they catch her, the next thing is deportation. You guys saw the other video where that girl, and I forgot her name and her age. So this girl was actually going to her, I think, her parents' house to surprise them for the Thanksgiving. But unfortunately, the eyes catch up with her, and that was how they took her to deportation center. That was how they deported this girl. Just imagine what is actually going on, guys. I think this whole thing is, my god, my god, oh my god, oh my god. I'm even lack of words. That means, oh my god, that means you cannot even walk freely anymore. You cannot come out, you can't go anywhere due to the fear of the unknown. I think this whole thing is getting too much. Anyway, guys, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. Share this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed already. So you stay tuned and let's watch the remaining clip of this video.
There's a very old saying in geopolitics: you can be an empire or you can be a debtor, but you cannot be both. For 80 years, the United States defied this rule. They printed the money and the world accepted it. They sanctioned their enemies and the world obeyed. They were the masters of the universe. But this week, the master had to go begging. In Caracas, the United States is doing the unthinkable. After years of trying to destroy Nicolas Maduro, after seizing his planes, freezing his accounts, and putting a $15 million bounty on his head, Washington is suddenly desperate to make a deal. Why? Because the petrodollar is dying, and they need Venezuela's oil to save it. And in Washington, the new Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, is facing a nightmare. He needs to borrow $3 trillion this year just to keep the lights on, but his usual customers aren't buying. So he is forced to look across the ocean to the very country the US calls its greatest enemy, China. Do you see the irony? The United States is currently waging an economic war against the two countries that it needs the most. I worked at the IMF for many years. I have seen this pattern before. When a superpower starts begging its enemies for resources, it is not a 4D chess move. It is a liquidation sale. Today we are going to look at the two desperate deals happening behind closed doors: the oil deal in Venezuela and the debt deal with China. Because if either of these deals fails, the American economy does not just recession, it stops. Let us start with the humiliation in Caracas. If you want to understand how weak the American empire has become, you do not need to look at the GDP numbers. You just need to look at who they are shaking hands with. 5 years ago, the United States declared that Nicolas Maduro was not the president of Venezuela. They recognized a man named Juan Guaido. They froze Venezuela's bank accounts. They seized their airplanes. They even put a $15 million bounty on Maduro's head like he was a cowboy outlaw in a Western movie. The goal was simple: collapse the Venezuelan economy, force a regime change, and take control of the world's largest oil reserves. So, what happened? Maduro is still there, but the American oil strategy is dead. You see, the United States made a catastrophic miscalculation. They assumed that if they sanctioned Venezuelan oil, the world would stop buying it. But the world is hungry. China continued to buy. India continued to buy. And here is the detail that keeps the US Treasury awake at night. They did not pay in dollars. Venezuela became the first laboratory for a post-dollar oil market. They started selling their oil for Chinese yuan and increasingly for USDT crypto. By sanctioning them, the US forced Venezuela to build a financial immune system. They proved to the world that you can sell oil without Washington's permission. And now the tables have turned. While the US has plenty of oil in Texas, it is the wrong kind of oil. It is light sweet crude. But the massive American refineries in the Gulf Coast, they were built 50 years ago to process heavy sour crude. Without that heavy oil, the refineries choke. They cannot produce enough diesel. And if diesel runs out, the American supply chain stops. So we see the unthinkable. American diplomats are quietly going back to Caracas. They are issuing waivers to companies like Chevron to pump oil in Venezuela again. They are offering debt relief. They are essentially begging the man they tried to overthrow to please turn the pumps back on. This is not diplomacy, this is surrender. It proves that when push comes to shove, the United States needs the Global South's resources more than the Global South needs the United States' permission. But if the situation in Venezuela is embarrassing, the situation in Washington is absolutely terrifying. While the diplomats are begging for oil, the Treasury is begging for cash. This is where the new Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, finds himself in a trap. The American public thinks the Treasury Secretary's job is to manage the economy. It is not. His job is to be a salesman. Every single year, the US government spends trillions more than it taxes. To fill that giant hole, they have to sell paper, US Treasury bonds. For decades, this was the easiest job in the world. The entire planet lined up to buy American debt because it was considered risk-free. But this year, the math has broken. The United States needs to sell $3 trillion in new debt just to survive the next 12 months. And the question Mr. Bessent has to answer is, who is going to buy it? He looks at Japan, traditionally the biggest buyer. But Japan is in a currency crisis. They are not buying American debt. They are selling it to save their own yen. He looks at Europe. They are stagnant, fighting their own recession. He looks at the American banks. They are already stuffed full of government paper, sitting on unrealized losses. There is only one buyer left on the planet with deep enough pockets to bail out the United States, China. And this is the absolute comedy of the American position. On one hand, you have the politicians screaming about a trade war. You have threats of 60% tariffs. You have generals talking about conflict in the Pacific, but quietly behind closed doors.
Did you know that the United States has just accused Europe of subverting democracy, blocking peace in Ukraine, and of facing civilizational erasure that is so dangerous it will render the continent unrecognizable in 20 years or less, if not stopped? In a newly released national security strategy document, the United States openly blames European officials for thwarting American efforts to end the war in Ukraine, and accuses European governments of ignoring a large European majority that wants peace with Russia. Furthermore, this amazing new document even goes so far as to call for cultivating resistance in Europe to help correct the continent's current direction by supporting and encouraging American political allies in Europe. Additionally, the document argues that the EU undermines political liberties, censors free speech, and suppresses political opposition, which in turn leads to cratering birth rates and the loss of national identities and self-confidence. The United States wants to re-establish conditions of stability within Europe and end the perception and reality of NATO being an ever-expanding alliance, in order to mitigate the risk of armed conflict between Russia and European states. My friends, the truth is, at least from where I'm sitting, is that US foreign policy is undergoing a radical change, and if you want to understand how that will impact not only Europe but the rest of the world, I urge you to find and read that document yourself in full. But anyway, I want to know your opinion. Do you think the European Union is truly guilty of the things the United States is accusing it of? Let me know what you think in the comments, and I want to wish you all the best.
So in Virginia, Abigail Spanberger is a projected winner of the governor race. But I just want to highlight one thing. White people don't fucking learn. White people remain white people.
Now, as somebody who used to live in Minnesota, I could tell you right now, Somalians are there for birthright citizenship. If you guys weren't aware, the Somalians have come to claim their birthright citizenship. Now, as you guys already know, the Trump administration has initiated their ICE raids in Minnesota, but the Somalians are fighting back. Now, according to CBS News, where you can pause to read this, the Trump administration is attempting to have ICE raids in Minnesota and are checking the green card holders of Somalian residents who live there. And little does the Trump administration know that the mass majority of Somalians who live in Minnesota are U.S. citizens. And every year, sometime around this year, apparently they do their pilgrimage to the Target Center. And based off of the rhetoric of the Somalians across social media, they're stating that although the Trump administration has implemented these ICE raids, they are willing to work with him to do a two-state solution. I'm not entirely sure why Donald Trump thought that this was going to be easy pickings with Somalians in Minnesota. I'm not entirely sure why he thought that. But little does he know that being that Somalians, their birthright is Minnesota, they're going to fight to the very end for their land. Because isn't that what you're supposed to do when you're being hostilely invaded? Like, correct me if I'm wrong.
We have breaking news right now. The United States Supreme Court has agreed to review the constitutionality of Donald Trump's birthright citizenship executive order. This is significant. Executive order redefined birthright citizenship under the United States Constitution, stripping citizenship of Americans born in America to two undocumented parents. It is pretty clear that this is settled law. The Constitution's text is clear. It's why every single court has rejected it. And it's why many people thought the Supreme Court would never take this case and were just rejected as well. There wasn't a circuit split. There wasn't inconsistent decisions. And yet the Supreme Court, 4 justices agreed to take on whether or not the case is constitutional. To me, this seems like the court is setting up to possibly uphold Trump's executive order and completely redefine birthright citizenship in America. It's going to take some time, right? There's still going to be oral arguments. Decision won't come until next year. But folks, this is major news right now. Spread the word. Follow along for all the news you need to know about.
Aaron, come here. Come here, my friend. You're going to have to start taking care of yourself. You survived. You survived the last 72 hours. You've been able to help us through it. We have so much more to go. 4 more years. Probably decades of madness. I'm going to need you to take care of yourself. I'm going to need you to come up with a sleep routine that works for you. 24-hour coverage is not going to work. We have to create something that is sustainable. This is your job, which will require you to sleep. I will be the self-proclaimed auntie of the internet. And I will stand up and say, You need rest. We need you. You need rest. Do what you need to do to take care of yourself. I need to post about what you do for self-care. I need to post about what you do to relax and rejuvenate yourself. You are doing the work. We are appreciative of the work. But what I need from you, Erin, is for you to take care of yourself. I don't know if anybody's told you. I don't know if everybody's encouraged you to do so, but you're going to need to get some rest. Now, please, more work to do, more information to share, more breaking news. I get it. But if no one has told you yet, you need to get some rest. In order to do what you need to do to help us be aware of all the breaking news, you're going to need to take care of yourself. Understood?
Stop scrolling, because what I'm about to tell you sounds impossible, yet it comes straight from the newly released 2025 U.S. National Security Strategy. According to this official document, America's top priority is not China, not Russia, not terrorism, but cultivating resistance to Europe's current trajectory. In plain English, undermining the European Union from the inside. Yes, that's written in black and white. The report openly praises the rise of patriotic European parties, meaning the far-right, nationalist, anti-immigrant movements gaining ground across the continent. It claims Europe is facing civilizational erasure due to migration and loss of identity, and says the US should support these parties as a way to reshape Europe's future. And if that wasn't shocking enough, the same document calls for rebuilding strategic stability with Russia and pushing Europe toward a negotiated end to the Ukraine war in order to stabilize markets. So the question becomes, is Washington positioning itself as Europe's partner or as the architect of its fragmentation? What do you think this strategy really means for Europe's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This one needs a serious conversation.
I want to share with you 3 shocking facts about ICE activity in DC. This is based on data that was released yesterday, so you probably haven't heard these before. First of all, ICE activity in DC is up 200-fold. Okay, not 200%, 200-fold. In 2024, ICE apprehended 30 people in DC. 30 people, that's less than 1 a week. Since August, they've been apprehending 15 people per day in DC. Fact number 2, less than 10% of people apprehended by ICE in DC have criminal convictions. In 2024, it was about half of people apprehended by ICE. The third fact is that this activity is incredibly concentrated in Mount Pleasant, Columbia Heights, Petworth, and Brightwood, in a very small area of DC that is currently experiencing a terror campaign by ICE.
So guys, welcome back again, and thank you so much for clicking. So the way the ICE agents are deporting people right now, I really do think that it's alarming. It's alarming how they are reading people, how they are deporting people. Imagine that lady that they caught who was trying to visit to give her parents a surprise Thanksgiving day, Thanksgiving. So the ICE caught up with her, and that was how they deported her, even without the knowledge of her families. Without their knowledge, this lady was deported. I think that lady was about 18 years or thereabouts. Yeah, she was being deported without the knowledge of her family. And you guys saw this particular clip that we just watched, where that lady was trying to run. She was just trying to escape. Just imagine, she went to a nearby store to get something, and coming back, I started chasing her. Oh my god, oh my god. Like, I think this whole thing is getting more worse. It's getting more worse. People cannot walk freely anymore. People, oh my god. And people have restrictions, because let's say you want to come out, you might be scared of an ICE. You might be scared that they might just catch you and deport you. Anyway, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section.